Featured on the show is an exquisite necklace presented by this guest who received it as a gift from her grandparents. The style depicted on this necklace is called Etruscan Revival. Furthermore, the style features stylized beads interspersed between elongated metal pieces, all set on a woven chain. The piece weighs 20 carats in gold. The style of this necklace was in vogue in the 1860s to 1870s. Visible on the other side of this piece are holes signifying that it was made in two halves that were merged together.
And they're soldered together. And when you're soldering two halves together and you're sealing them in, if the air doesn't have a place to escape, the bead would implode.
This item is not only aesthetically pleasing, but it also attests to the ingenuity of people in the era it was made. It is estimated to be worth...
At auction, it's going to be $5,000 to $7,000.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
Inherited from their late aunt, the item had hung in her rec room for years, believed to be from New Zealand. The Maori Kotiati is a New Zealand war club with a flat, oval-shaped blade used in close combat by the indigenous Maori people. It's called a Kotiati, which translates to split liver. It's a close combat weapon with a flat, oval-shaped blade, usually crafted from wood or whalebone. The lobes are crafted from whalebone with abalone shell intricately inset. A mythological creature is depicted below, adding a touch of mystique to the piece. In the weapon's center was a thong, preventing it from slipping in battle. In battle, the Kotiati delivered devastating blows with swift precision. The Kotiati symbolizes Maori tradition and legacy. Its history, significance, and craftsmanship are precisely what the appraiser values the item for.
At auction, this item could be expected to fetch between $12,000 and $15,000.
Wow.
Polynesian art has...
This family treasure was passed down from great-grandmother to her son, then to their uncle, and finally to them. In the late 19th century, the Mount Washington Glass Company produced exceptional glassware, both decorative and practical. This is a sweetmeat jar, primarily used for candies. It features a piece of Mount Washington glass designed by Frederick Shirley of Mount Washington Glass. This is a starfish pattern. The starfish's jeweled area has 3 sections, each with a subtle hobnail underneath, blending into the glass. They were typically made of colored glass, often with intricate designs or hand-painted decorations. This is a silver plate handle. Initially named Albertine glass after the founder's daughter, Frederick Shirley, it was later rebranded as Crown Milano. Mesmerized by its elegance, the appraiser valued the item.
We're able to get this cleaned up. This is a comfortable piece at $2,000. If you can't clean it up, then you might have to have a professional do a little.
Displayed on the show are 4 wooden bowls brought by this guest who received them as a gift from her dear friend. These beautiful bowls were crafted by Bob Stockdale, an American woodturner renowned for his use of exotic woods in bowl making.
Guys, to start, he took the whole art form to another level. He really has made a big difference in some of his turn bowls.
These intriguing bowls date back to the 1990s. The specific types of wood used to create these bowls remain a mystery. However, one of the bowls has a small crack at its rim and in a few other places, placing its value at auction to be...
It's broken, is probably worth a lot less. Or maybe $100 to $300, somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Remarkably, the remaining bowls are highly sought after by collectors due to their exceptional craftsmanship, with their auction values estimated to be around...
I would say for these 3, the 3 in good shape, we're looking at somewhere between $900 and $1,200 a piece at auction.
What?
The guest presented 2 beautiful glass balls, believing them to be doorknobs belonging to Lord Nelson. The item was initially acquired by her great-great-uncle Edward, who was an antique collector. The guest mentioned that they were exhibited at the Victoria Art Gallery in Bath in 1955. The appraiser pointed out that the glass balls were likely made in France around 1850, thus not associated with Nelson.
Enemy, exactly.
Exactly.
The other thing to say is they were made in 1850 or thereabouts.
Right.
So it's very unlikely that they were on Victory.
Furthermore, they were not doorknobs, but newel post finials from a staircase and twice the size. The items exhibited exquisite faceting and still had their original brass bases. Although unrelated to Nelson, the appraiser still appreciated their beauty. Unfortunately, the suggested value was lower than anticipated.
I reckon they're probably worth £200 to £300.
Aww.
If they'd been Nelson's doorknobs,
Today on the show, we are presented with a delicate vase by our guest who acquired it from her father. This piece is a Minton vase crafted using the pot sous pot technique.
He picked it up, thought it might be worth something, brought it home, and brought it to my mother, and she washed it off and then could see.
Process that involves applying slip onto a pottery surface to create intricate, delicate designs. Upon inspection, the front of the base bears the signature LB, representing Lawrence Buck, an American architect, artist, and landscape painter associated with the American arts and craft movement. The vase's date, 1873 to 1891, is clearly visible at the bottom. The intricate design of this piece is truly eye-catching, and it is in pristine condition, placing its auction value at around...
It would probably be estimated between $1,500 and $2,500.
Okay.
Step into the captivating tale of this object, an esteemed relic with roots tracing back to New Zealand, once treasured by the guest's late aunt. It is a Maori war club called a kotiati, which means split liver, deriving its name from its shape resembling a liver. Crafted from whalebone and adorned with abalone shell and mythical figures, it exudes a rich history. Chiefs wielded it as a symbol of power during both speeches and in battle. It carries immense cultural significance. The thong hole ensured a secure grip during battle. Despite its beauty, caution is advised due to evolving laws on animal products. Nevertheless, it currently faces no legal issue and dates back to the 1830s to 1850s. At auction, its value could skyrocket to between... The appraiser introduces a jardinier, or fancy flower pot, owned by Terry Norris since 1946, which was featured on the Antiques Roadshow in 1991. The jardinier is made by Christoffel, a top French metalworker, dates back to 1874, and reflects Japanese influence, with intricate champlavé enamel work and crane decorations.
Of movement, and then you get these magnificent handles.
Terry Norris and Eric Knowles discussed the history of the jardinier, including its use as a football goalpost by Terry's children and its display at the 1874 exhibition. The jardinier was valued around £2,000 at auction, but it ultimately sold for...
I don't know if I'm more astonished by the valuation or how much you've both changed. What about that moustache?
Yeah.
My goodness me.
Terry Norris mentions that they have given away a significant portion of the money, enjoyed some family holidays, and still have some left, thanks to the unexpected windfall from the jardinier's sale. This bottle sat on guest grandfather's bar, among many others. When the statue is tipped back, it's hollowed out and used to hide his pistol. Bottle is a fantastic piece of bar advertising. Guest thought the statue was more expensive, but to her surprise,
Bottle is the rare piece. Traditionally, in the advertising world of the liquor collectibles, whiskey is not...
Whiskey collectibles weren't as popular as beer in the past, but now, with the rise of craft whiskey, the tide is changing.
In an auction, the pair might bring somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500.
Okay.
The bottle is worth about $600 to $800.
Okay.
And the statue somewhat less.
Okay.
Particularly since it's...
Today's piece is a well-crafted churn. This churn was crafted in New York. Produced in 1863, the piece was used for churning butter and was made with stoneware. Stoneware is a durable ceramic material. There are intricate designs on this piece.
See a piece of stoneware that's decorated so extravagantly.
And this piece, with its condition and intricate designs, would go for...
so extravagantly as this, it makes a real difference. This cobalt.
We have on today's episode a status quo tapestry. It was made by the son of our guest. It's a textile art woven on a vertical loom done for a British rock band called Status Quo.
Right.
But he couldn't move his fingers, no use of his fingers.
Right, okay. That's a sad story.
On this tapestry are album and song titles of Status Quo.
Doing a few things. Tapestry was one thing. Every time we walked through my kitchen, he was...
Although the tapestry wasn't completed, we can see the level of skill and determination used in making it.
And he would turn the whole frame over, it was on a swing.
Yes.
And pull it through with his teeth.
That is...
What do you think a tapestry with such masterful craftsmanship and artistic ingenuity would be worth?
I think also that you've been very courageous to come and talk about it. So
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A Mickey Mouse doll with a nostalgic charm and attention was brought by a couple, and the iconic Disney quote was recalled.
But it all started with the mouse.
Absolutely.
Disney's voyage with Steamboat Willie in 1928 created a desire for Mickey Mouse dolls and other merchandise in early 1934. The couple who bought the doll for $400 shared their deep connection with Disney.
Nervous at this point.
No, that's fine.
But I'm just going to leap in. So all the materials are the right sort of kind of materials.
The doll was a 1936 Knickerbocker Mickey Mouse doll with thick and long whiskers, separated fingers, and cardboard flock finished shoes. Despite temporal changes, the first 1936 Knickerbocker Mickey Mouse doll exudes timeless charm.
I think that probably this would be worth around what you paid for it. You have the heart of an original Mickey Mouse.
That works for us.
This guest, a contemporary furniture maker, unveils a captivating chest. Bequeathed by a friend, the chest's true origin remained a mystery.
For Tansu, and I build secret compartments into everything that I built. The card that came with it said it was a 1740s Queen Anne apothecary.
This intricately designed piece is a Chinese medicine chest crafted by a skilled cabinet maker between 1720 and 1750.
But in fact, they're broken up into compartments that have all kinds of other things going on.
Right. Deceptive drawers and sliding panels reveal a world designed for a pharmacist.
The is made of a wood that is not teak, not paduk. It's a wood called Wang Hua Li.
Beautiful wood? The beautiful wood, Wang Hua Li, is a rarity outside Chinese cabinetry. European-style mounts and Baroque design elements hint at a fascinating journey. At auction, the appraiser adds a fascinating detail. With Chinese mounts, the value could have soared to...
and small.
Right.
It's worth, I think, conservatively $8,000 to $12,000 at auction.
Wow. That's amazing.
This guest unveils a unique album, hinting at its California roots. She recounts a heartwarming story of how her husband, braving the rain at an auction, acquired this special piece. This album is the work of Charles Frederick Eaton, a Rhode Island-born artist who transitioned from painting to crafting after experiencing arm cramps. Eaton's move to Santa Barbara in 1890 further influenced his artistic style. Crafted from wood and leather, the album boasts a hand-painted scene.
The car, so he got out and stood in the rain. He was there for about 45 minutes and came back and handed it to me and said...
A closer look reveals the artist's signature and location, Santa Barbara, California. But the true marvel lies within. A stunning wrought copper and abalone shell lotus blossom adorns the base.
The height of this market was probably a decade or so ago, but it's such an exquisite piece.
Despite the market peak passing a decade ago, the appraiser estimates the album's value at a staggering.
The value is somewhere between $6,000 and $9,000. That's off its high.
This guest snagged a pocket watch for a mere $100. The watch, a minute repeater, is a horological marvel from the turn of the century. Minute repeaters, boasting complex mechanisms, chime the time on demand, a sophisticated feature for a bygone era.
5 years ago at a estate sale. I bought it because I thought it was so unusual with the portrait on it.
This particular minute repeater is crafted in gold, adding to its value and reflecting the luxurious taste of its original owner. In today's retail market, a minute repeater of this caliber could fetch a staggering.
In the market we're in now, a minute repeater in gold in this size from the turn of the century would probably bring, in the retail world, somewhere in the $4,000 price range.
Amazing.
This woman brings in a large jug filled with history and tradition to be appraised. She explains that the jug belonged to their great-grandfather who lived in northern Washington County, Georgia. This amazing alkaline glazed pottery in this area was traditionally made by African-American slaves.
Washington County, Georgia, and it's so nice to come to a region and see an indigenous piece. I was startled to see the size.
Interestingly, the jug is inscribed with the name of the potter, James Bussell. It is decorated with figures jumping over a broom, an African-American tradition seen at celebratory events like weddings. Despite some damage, including a missing handle and cracks around the spout,
we usually know very little about the potter and very little about what its capacity is other than we know from its size.
Given its rarity and overall good condition, the appraiser estimates the jug's value to be between...
To auction, I would estimate its value to be $40,000 to $60,000. And I think if you...
This exquisite soup tureen passed down through generations. The guest inherited this amazing piece from her great-aunt. It is identified as a rare 18th century French piece crafted in Paris around 1774. Most French silver of this era was melted down during the Revolution, making this tureen a true survivor.
On the cover, all of these vegetables here were cast from life. You see a parsnip, a wonderful open pea pod with...
Its intricately designed cover features incredibly lifelike vegetable sculptures, a parsnip, a bursting pea pod, an artichoke, and even a pickle.
It's extremely beautiful and very, very rare. I notice here, this is interesting.
Interestingly, the guest also has the details of all the previous appraisals. At the auction, this phenomenal French soup tureen is estimated to fetch a staggering...
In beauty is going to sell today at auction for at least $30,000.
Really?
Yes. I think you should...
A wonderful lady's wristwatch is presented by the guest. She inherited it from her aunt, who got this incredible piece on her last day at her job.
Been hers, and no one had ever claimed it, and her boss says, well, you're retiring, you just take this watch. And
well, it was a great retirement gift.
This incredible watch was identified as a creation by Audemars Piguet, a renowned Swiss watchmaker with a rich history. Dating back to circa 1940, the watch is a stunning example of Art Deco design. Crafted entirely from platinum, the timepiece is a testament to exquisite craftsmanship.
Okay. Well, your watch was made by Audemars Piguet. It's one of the finest Swiss watches made. And the
watch face is adorned with vibrant Burmese rubies, each meticulously polished to a cabochon finish. These gems are further accentuated by a dazzling array of unique triangular and kite-shaped diamonds.
Bottom you have trillion diamonds, and then you have kite-shaped diamonds, so they're all very unusually cut diamonds.
The appraiser reveals the staggering retail value of the watch.
think I'm going to surprise you. The value today on this watch, retail, I see it at $25,000.
That's wonderful.
The guest presents a gorgeous doll with its belongings. Firstly, the appraiser noticed a letter dated 1922 sheds light on its history. The letter mentions a remarkable lady doll with an extensive wardrobe. This doll was identified as Dolly Varden, a cherished possession of her great-grandmother, Thirza Gammons.
Of clothes, her parasols, her boots, handbags, letter racks, books for her travels. Very, very fine doll of the period.
It is likely a creation of the late 1860s. This incredible doll has a beautiful face and paperweight eyes and was similar to the Barbie of its time. It is joined by a smaller companion doll, also dating from the same period.
Winner in a raffle.
Okay, so it's probably a Sanity Fair doll. There's some indication about Wisconsin. Do you know anything about that?
That's where they made the clothes in a convent there. That's all I know.
These dolls, often dressed in elaborate garments made for charity raffles, served as a way to raise funds. The appraiser estimates Dolly Varden with her wardrobe to be a remarkable...
You should probably conserve her, put her in acid-free paper. With all her clothes and accessories, she's worth between $20,000 and $30,000. Wow. I mean, she's a very lucky young lady, and you're a lucky young lady.
A harmonious blend of Spanish influence and indigenous artistry, the Navajo Moki Serape was brought to the show. It was discovered folded on a daybed in a northern Maine wilderness camp that was acquired by the guest 30 years ago. This particular weaving was likely crafted between 1878 and 1890. Pattern emerged in the American Southwest in the late 1700s, but disappeared by 1900. These banded stripes of brown and indigo blue are characteristic of Navajo serapes. It was not made for trade, showcasing indigenous cultural significance. A testament to its quality and rarity, its auctioned value is...
On a really bad day, this textile would be worth $350,000. On a good day, it's about $500,000. Oh my God.
An exquisite Regency gentleman's secretary bookcase, crafted from rich mahogany veneers, its elegant design, ebony details, and classical pediments reflect the early 19th century. The guest's grandmother bought it in the early 50s from a New York antique store. Upon closer inspection, its hidden treasures are revealed. Orderly bookshelves, a writing surface with original leather, and sleek brass mounts. Its Grecian design, once considered avant-garde, still exudes sophistication. With its original wavy glass and impeccable condition, its value far exceeds its initial $750 appraisal. Its insurance value is now estimated at around...
Probably put this on at the $15,000 range.
Wow.
So you need to bump that up a little.
I may need to bump up some insurance.
On the show, we are shown memorabilia from a war veteran. These memorabilia were brought in by our guest, who is a veteran. There's a picture of our guest receiving a medal from a senior officer. Alongside that picture are other pictures of significant interest. Medals received by our guest for varying acts of valor are also on display. Each one of these pieces of memorabilia takes us to the topmost act of service required and tells a story of the sacrifices men of the military make. Each item of this memorabilia tells a story of courage, sacrifice, and resilience, and would auction at... The guest acquired this remarkable piece at an estate sale for less than $5. She was drawn to its textile charm, despite its imperfections. The appraiser revealed its origins at the 1851 Crystal Palace exhibition in London's Hyde Park, a showcase of industrial prowess during the Victorian era. Crafted by Mr. Underwood of Oxford Street, London, the woolen table cover boasted ornate ornamentation, including the coat of arms of Great Britain. 232 copper plates were used to make this grandeur piece, contributing to its color palette. Look at the exquisite mastery done on this piece. Magical. Despite some wool moth holes, its historical and decorative significance shone through, being a testament to Mr. Underwood's skill and the grandeur of the Crystal Palace exhibition. The piece was estimated to fetch
$500 and $600 at auction.
Wonderful. I really appreciate all the information.
Oh, well,
It's
you're
wonderful.
welcome.
This stunning drawing was showcased on the show by this guest, who received it as a gift from his friend. This piece dates back to circa 1979. Another item displayed is a letter that was given to the guest by his friend. Contained within this letter are the details of the painting's acquisition, signature, and date. This fascinating piece was produced by Jean-Michel Basquiat, an American artist who rose to success during the 1980s as part of the Neo-Expressionism movement.
We know that he is an artist who was largely self-taught, had artistic predilections as a young man, ran away from home, had parents who were of Puerto Rican and Haitian descent.
Furthermore, the painting is an oil stick on paper. A painting like this, being one of the works of an innovative artist, exudes class, and at auction it would fetch a whopping price of...
I would insure the work for $400,000.
Today's episode is quite unique. It's a recount of the celebrations that happened on VE Day. VE Day, or Victory in Europe Day, is a day that marks the end of World War II in Europe. It is now celebrated on the 8th of May. Our guest recounts the euphoria in the air and the appearance of the British royal family on that day. Dance and jubilation filled the air in celebration of the end of the war. What could a memory and a recollection of such a wonderful, fun-filled day be worth? The guest received this desk from their mother, who inherited it from her great-grandfather, suggesting its age and family significance. It was potentially purchased in the 1870s with ties to Allen Brothers, a notable cabinet maker known for producing custom-made furniture. Although the specific artist of the central tile remained unknown, the desk embodied the fashionable furniture of its time, incorporating themes from the aesthetic movement. The desk reflected the Philadelphia School of Furniture Making from the 1850s, featuring ceramic tiles. The locks were marked Shannon, Philadelphia. The A-shaped locks and marking Shannon, Philadelphia could be a testament to Allen Brothers. Emphasizing its rarity and historical value, the appraiser estimated its insurance value at...
It would be a very difficult thing to replace, so
Yes.
I think for insurance purposes, we would estimate it at $7,000.
Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm excited.
The guest remembered this painting hung at their grandparents' house before it was passed to her mother. Her grandfather owned a storage company, and this painting was recovered from someone who could not pay for their storage, probably in the late 50s or early 60s. The appraiser revealed that this beautiful painting was a piece from Robert Wood, who was a famous American landscape painter. This was oil painting on a canvas and was probably painted in the 1930s. It showed a bluebonnet garden and a beautiful scenic place. The appraiser revealed that thousands of print copies were made of Robert Wood paintings because of high demand for his work. Being a Robert Wood painting, the appraiser estimated it to be...
In a retail gallery, the asking price would be around $50,000.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
The guest brought in an Ottoman Turkish horse blanket, a rare and valuable textile piece. It featured metal thread embroidery on velvet. The value wasn't only in the embroidered design, but also in the backing material. The backing material was a Central Asian silk peacock fabric, highly prized by collectors today. Ironically, this fabric was once considered only suitable for use as a backing material, but here it was the main attraction. This piece was estimated to be...
This piece is probably worth about $1,000. And the reason it's worth $1,000 is if we look at the back.
The guest brought in a print she inherited from her grandparents in Indiana. The print was made by the German artist Gustav Baumann, known as Grandma Batten's Garden or Hoosier Garden. Baumann immigrated to the United States as a young man who lived in Indiana in the 1910s, creating scenes of rustic homes and gardens. The print was a beautiful example of Baumann's color woodblock technique. The appraiser believed it to be an early proof, with unique color variations and a lack of black ink in certain areas. The print was created around 1927, earlier than most of Baumann's works, which were typically printed in New Mexico. Due to its rarity and rich color, the appraiser valued the print at
auction, I would value this at $15,000 to $25,000.
Wow, really?
Yes.
The guest brought a Haywood Wakefield furniture, a company known for its wicker and blonde furniture. The table dated back to around 1910 to 1915 and featured a basket weave wicker design with an Empire Revival base. It was in incredibly good condition, with its original finish still intact. The guests purchased the table for a mere $10, a steal considering its true value. A minor staining issue could be easily addressed by adding color and rubbing it in. The appraiser valued the table at
valuation today probably in the neighborhood of conservatively $1,200 to $1,500.
You're kidding me.
This beautiful pottery was crafted by Gertrude and Otto Natzler. Gertrude shaped the pots beautifully in clay, while Otto innovated with his glazing techniques. This collection belonged to a guest's great-uncle who began collecting in the 1940s and meticulously documented his acquisitions. Otto Natzler labeled each piece he created.
After World War I, that pretty much ended. The companies that stayed in business, like Roseville and Rookwood, started making more and more production wear because it cost too much money for artists to decorate pieces.
Otto spearheaded the revival of the pottery movement in the U.S. These were purchased within the range of $7 to $140. Gertrude's pots boasted impeccable proportions. Otto experimented with glazes, crafting sensational varieties. They left a significant mark on the mid-century art movement. Some pieces featured G and O Natzler marks. Appraiser evaluates each piece differently.
That little guy right there is worth between $1,500 and $2,000.
Wow.
That would be an auction estimate. It could go for more than that. This one about the same. It's a little bigger, but the glaze isn't quite as good. Flambe. Estimate this one for between, say, $3,500 and $4,500. This bowl closest to me, it's a closed bowl form, also about $3,500 to $4,500. I would say $5,000 to $7,500 at auction, but it might be more like $7,000 to $10,000 because of the rarity of that glaze. A lovely piece also, I would estimate that for $4,500 to $6,500. More like either a $7,000 and $10,000 piece or $8,000 to $12,000. I would estimate that for between $10,000 to $15,000. I would estimate that for $8,000 to $12,000. And these again are conservative prices.
Wow, isn't that exciting? He really loved their work and he got great joy from it.
Value of the entire collection ranges from $44,500 to $68,500, but the updated estimate has decreased to $38,500 to $56,500. The guest brought the paddles and club he purchased from a barber for $8 to $20 in the 1960s. He thought the paddles were boat oars and the club was a war club. The appraiser identified the objects as coming from the Marquesas Island in Polynesia. The paddles had unique carvings, including an extension at the bottom for pushing off rocks that were made for functional use. They featured Marquesan figures that were believed to protect the owner, a common motif in Marquesan art. The club was made of iron wood called toa, meaning warrior, and is called an u'u. The club started as a war club but became ceremonial, indicating status and power. The appraiser valued them at
These two paddles, they would be $500 to $700 each. And then this club in the center is $1,500 to $2,500. Okay.
The guest brought a Japanese bronze piece she purchased at an online auction for $350 to $360, 10 to 12 years ago. She knew nothing about the piece and brought it in for appraisal. The appraiser identified the piece as a Japanese Daruma bronze, made in the late 19th century. Daruma was a Buddhist figure from the Zen sect, often depicted without limbs, symbolizing enlightenment. The bronze piece featured a humorous face which the guest thought was yelling, but the appraiser interpreted as yawning. The base of the piece was square and pierced, characteristic of Miyao bronzes. The appraiser estimated its value at...
Estimates at the auction, maybe it will go for 2,000 to 3,000.
Oh my.
On a good day, maybe much more.
Oh my goodness.
The guest brought in an abalone veneered tea caddy, which was a gift from her husband. Crafted in 1883 by silversmiths Henry Bourne and Daniel O'Neill in Birmingham. This item was made of oak, veneered with abalone, and mounted with a silver plate. Another unique feature is the compartments of the caddy, also veneered with abalone.
And for Henry Bourne and Daniel O'Neill, they were silversmiths in Birmingham, England between 1881 and 1886.
This psychedelic tea caddy would fetch a considerable amount at auction, around...
So we think that at auction, it might bring between $3,000 and $5,000. Yeah.
This rare artifact belongs to a Queen of England. Our guest acquired this artifact from a woman who worked in her court.
The 90s, I would say. She was a local artist, very community-based, grassroots in Vance County. She was a beautiful person, and we both had a lot in common in terms of our childhood. Grew up on a farm and worked very closely with our families.
This is a parasol belonging to the former Queen of England, Queen Victoria. This parasol has a couple of unique features. The canopy is made of silk and lined with lace. The tip contains a marble portrait of the Queen, and the porcelain handle bears the Queen's initials and the date of her coronation. The metal ribs indicate that the parasol was created by Samuel Fox and Company. A parasol of such design, used by the late Queen of England and kept in excellent condition, at an auction would fetch about...
I would estimate the small piece at probably $2,000 to $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
The centerpiece, I would estimate at $3,000 to $4,000, and love this. And I would estimate this at between $4,000 and $6,000.
Okay.
This is a collection of paintings created by Ruth Russell Williams. Williams was an American artist known for her depictions of rural life. Our guest obtained the paintings directly from the artist. The collection consists of 3 oil paintings on canvas and date back to the late 20th century. All 3 pieces bear the artist's signature, and they all feature drawings of women. What value will be placed upon a well-preserved collection of paintings by the renowned artist? Displayed on the show today is an English cane-back chair, discovered by our guest in an antique store in Canada. This item features beechwood without maple, confirming its authenticity as an English version of cane-back chairs. It also boasts a carved crest rail and a carved lower stretcher, qualifying as a high-styled version. Despite having its feet cut off, reducing its height, this creative piece of furniture, nicknamed the William and Mary chair, would auction at...
You want to know how much it'd be worth if it were American?
Yes.
You would? Okay. About $250,000 if it were a Boston 1710 version.
This artifact dates back to the 19th century. Our guest acquired the piece from his grandmother. This artifact is a beer stein used to advertise the beer Gambrinus. Gambrinus is a beer brewed in the Czech Republic at the Pilsner Urquell Brewery. It is one of the most popular beers in the Czech Republic. A beer stein used to advertise one of the most popular beers in the Czech Republic in the 1880s would be valued at about...
Real competition. You could certainly bring 2,000 to 4,000, and who knows, maybe a little more.
Can't believe it.
Featuring on today's episode is an Egyptian needlework jacket crafted in Cairo in the 1920s. This item is a vintage artwork showcasing the skill of Egyptian needlework with intricate hand embroidery covering the entire piece. Interestingly, this coat has a cotton base with an inner part lined in silk. This beautiful piece, kept in excellent condition, at auction would fetch
retail in the $800 to $900 category.
How lovely.
This is a reproduction Nayarit figure which originally belonged to the guest's relative. It's a piece from Nayarit, Mexico.
To be is a piece from Nayarit, Mexico. I bought one of these pieces many years ago.
Depicting a man playing a flat, high drum with a deer horn. The figure features a confused facial expression and a polished black and red surface, which is unusual. Interestingly, this piece is notably heavier compared to other pieces from this tribe.
Generally, these pieces had either a real shiny red surface without all this modeling, and the black that you see on here would have been impurities in the clay, but they would have also popped out.
Desirable as a decorator object, this artistic piece will bring about
1,000-year-old piece, it would bring $4,000 to $6,000. And I wish it was a $4,000 to $6,000 one because we haven't seen one that big.
I appreciate the info there because I needed to know.